Hello there. So welcome to Invest Northeast Q&A. My name is Rachel Burdis. I'm the Inward Investment Manager at Invest Northeast, and I'm joined today by our Director, Guy Currey. And we're just here to do a few questions and answers this morning to tell you a bit more about why businesses should locate in the Northeast and why it's a great place to grow here. So thanks for joining me, Guy.
It's a pleasure.
We're very formal.
I know, yes, totally.
But yeah, I think it would just be great, I guess, to start. You could maybe explain a bit more about our team, Invest Northeast. I think been diligently working away in the background to kind of contribute to this region. And I'm up to 3 weeks in, I guess, to the role, so maybe it's not best if I start on that. Maybe you can.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, I've been doing this job for quite a few years now, so I should know what we do. So what Invest Northeast England's essentially the regional inward investment agency for the Northeast LEP area. So we cover 7 local authorities in the Northeast. That's Northumberland, County Durham, and then the 5 Tyne and Wear authorities, so Newcastle, Sunderland, North, South Tyneside and Gateshead. So that covers an area of about 2 million people. We don't cover Tees Valley, that's covered by a separate agency. And our role is to help attract new inward investors into the Northeast. So that might be companies who are currently located overseas, who want to open an operation in the Northeast or the UK. Or there might be, for example, a company down in London who might be experiencing some of the issues that a lot of companies down in London are feeling at the moment in terms of rising costs, etc. And they want to have a look at another location. So we work with businesses over both internationally and domestically and try and attract them and make them aware of the opportunities there are in the Northeast. So how we do that, we do quite a lot of marketing, we do social media communications, we have a variety of materials on our website, for example. But we also have lead generation contracts where we get companies to actually generate leads on our behalf. They look for signals for companies who may be growing, may have received a recent investment round, and we contact them to say, have you thought about the Northeast? We feel there's a compelling reason why you might actually find the Northeast to be an interesting option for you, and get them to come up and hopefully organise a visit and get them to come and see what we've got to offer up here. At the moment, obviously, during COVID, a lot of what we do, our bread and butter, we can't really do that because it's not really appropriate for us to go proactively reach out to people and say, look, come and have a look at the Northeast while they're trying to save their businesses and they're focusing on their sort of core business. So at the moment, although we're still open for discussions and calls and things like that, we're doing a variety of other things. We're actually helping the Northeast LEP at the moment prepare for an economic response to the COVID. We've been doing a lot of interviews with sort of sector leads and things like that to feed into that piece of work, which is a regional response. But there are going to be some opportunities coming out of COVID. It was interesting, actually. I was speaking to a company the other day who had a business idea, and I was sort of feeding him into the right networks in the Northeast, and that was as a response to COVID. And I think that particularly businesses in the digital technology sector, there could be quite a lot of applications where they may be able to find some uses of COVID in response to COVID, where the Northeast might be somewhere that they can set up and expand and grow. So it's not all gloom and despondency. And I would say right from the start, that if you are interested in talking to us about relocating, expanding in the Northeast, then do come contact us.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in touch. And I guess it's quite pertinent this week because it's obviously Newcastle Startup Week Online, which isn't just about Newcastle, it's about the wider Northeast and kind of helping businesses start a business here. But also day 4's obviously about scaling up and growing. And we do see a lot of businesses moving to the region in order to do that because of the strengths that we have. I guess we've seen a lot of companies move here and been successful here, but can you kind of tell us a bit more about why that is the case? What do we have to offer as a region? Why is it such a good place to invest?
Well, I think that the first part of the answer, and the first thing I'll say to anybody who might ask a sort of a generic question, why do inward investors look to relocate or locate in a particular area? And the first reason is about market opportunity. That companies need to realise or understand what that opportunity will be in a particular area. And that might be access to a big customer, it might be access to a sort of an ecosystem or a research and development asset which they can use to help them develop their product. It might be a very geographically focused thing, like we're dealing with a lot of companies at the moment interested in offshore wind, and the Northeast is ideally located there for access to the North Sea offshore wind market. So there has to be some sort of market opportunity. Now, I think that once they've identified that and understood what the Northeast can actually provide in terms of opportunity, the next thing that virtually all businesses and all sectors are looking for is access to skills. And in the Northeast, we have got a very, very good, loyal workforce. We've got a very highly skilled workforce. We've got 5 universities with a great pipeline of talent coming off those in multiple sectors. And one of the things that investors are always telling me is that they're always astounded at the quality of the workforce we've got up here, but also the labour retention rates are very, very high. There are very, very low attrition rates in the Northeast compared to elsewhere. So, for example, I've speak to a lot of businesses down in London, lots of tech businesses, who are taking people on, and 6 months later these staff are leaving the business, which is obviously very expensive in terms of retraining and everything like that. And one thing that everybody says is that we've got very, very high retention rates in the Northeast. But skills is absolutely the bread and butter of any business in any sector, and I feel that we've got a really good offer there. Another thing that's really attractive about the Northeast is it's actually a low-cost region. It's a very, very competitively costed region. So labour costs tend to be lower than a lot of other areas in the UK and in Europe. And also the cost of property and doing business up here is much more competitive. So, you know, some of the property costs, if you're getting an office in London, it's probably going to cost you, you know, 7 or 8 times as much as it'll cost you in the Northeast, even in some of the higher priced offices up here. Yeah. So cost is something that's absolutely key and crucial, and particularly for a new business or a scaling business, cost is something that's really important for them. And I think we've got a really good offer up here. I think one of the things as well that could actually come more to the fore with COVID and people sort of examining their work-life balances and commuting and everything is that the Northeast has got a fantastic quality of life. And particularly in sectors such as digital technology and life sciences, and for owners of businesses who want to set up somewhere, obviously the quality of life is really, really important. And I think the Northeast, not from the Northeast, as my accent might betray, but I've been up here for 25 years and I wouldn't ever move away. I think it's a fantastic place. I mean, there aren't that many places in the world even where you can go surfing in the morning, jump on a metro and be in the centre of a big city sort of by 9 o'clock in the morning. You can do that in the Northeast. So quality of life is really good, and the cost of living up here is very, very competitive as well. So,
and it's so easy to get to the main cities as well, isn't it? You're talking between Manchester and London, a couple of hours on a train. But again, if you want to get out in the great outdoors, the Lake District's not too far away. We've got Walton National Park. So yeah, lots of nice breezy open spaces in the ocean as well. As, like you say, it's
absolutely. And you've got really, really exciting cities. I mean, you know, the cities we got up here, Newcastle particularly, is very sort of world renowned for its exciting nightlife, and you know, I'll attest to that. It's a fantastic place to be, but it's a great place to settle and grow up and bring up kids. So yeah, I'll thoroughly recommend that. But that's really, really important for a lot of businesses. For some big manufacturing companies, that's probably not an issue, but for small startup scale-ups, the quality of life, ease of access, getting around the conurbation in the Tyne-and-Wear Metro, it's the largest rapid transit system outside of London. It's all very, very easy. Very, very low commuting times, very little congestion.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why I've kind of stayed here, I guess, myself. So in terms of kind of looking at the key strengths of the Northeast, there's definitely sectors where we're really ahead of the game and really making great strides. And I think that's been really exciting to see. In terms of those sectors, can you talk a bit more about them? So energy, digital tech is mentioned. Why are we so good? What have we got here? What are the assets and things?
I mean, I think the first thing to say here is that if people want to talk to us from any sector, you know, we're open for business with that. And I don't want to sort of say that we only deal with sort of 5 key sectors, but we tend to find the majority of the investment inquiries we receive are from 5 key sectors. And I'll go through those one by one. The first is digital technology. You could argue that's not really a sector. It's a sort of a horizontal integrator, and every sector uses digital technology. But we speak to a lot of companies, digital tech companies, in fintech, in software developers, big data analysts, all those sorts of things, who are interested in the Northeast. Partly because we've got very good skill sets up here, but we've got some very big digital technology companies who have set up and thrived here, and we've got the largest technology company in the UK, headquartered in the Northeast, which is Sage. But they come and make use of the assets and the networks, which I think we're going to talk a bit about later, but also some of the physical assets. So we've got the National Innovation Centre for Data in Newcastle. We've got a digital catapult up here, which is really important for linking digital companies to opportunities. We've got Proto, the Centre for Immersive Technology over in Gateshead. So all these are fantastic assets. But I think one of the key reasons that digital companies thrive up here is the skills and those networks. And there's very, very supporting, collaborative sort of atmosphere up here. So digital technology is a major sector. Second sector we could talk about would be advanced manufacturing. We've got some major manufacturers up here. The one probably everybody knows about is Nissan, which produces 1 in every 3 cars in the UK. Not doing that much at the moment with all this lockdown and everything, but you know, let's hope that comes back online shortly. Nissan produce a lot of electric cars as well, which is where the real future of automotive is going to be. But there's a whole range of advanced manufacturing companies in the Northeast. It's a really, really strong sector. So automotive, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, lots of really high-tech industries there as well, subsea engineering, things like that. So it's a really, really important sector for us.
I was going to say, everyone talks about Industry 4.0, and do you think the regions embrace that, but there's still room to kind of bring in more companies with these digital solutions and how to kind of, you know, cut down on costs, become more efficient, virtualize design processes and things?
Yep, certainly. I mean, we've actually been working on something called a high potential opportunity, which is linking our excellence in immersive technology, clustered around Gateshead and Proto and the digital catapult. Lots of companies whose expertise was born out of the gaming sector and are now looking at developing immersive technology to help manufacturers design products, do training, all those sorts of things. So it's a real focus for us at the moment. We're putting quite a lot of work into that. And because the Northeast has such a lot of these big advanced manufacturing companies, they're always striving to improve their processes. And as I said, the fourth industrial revolution is something that a lot of them are embracing, and I think more of them will be embracing in the future. They're going to have to do that, or they'll get left behind.
Yeah, true.
So advanced manufacturing is a really important sector. The third big sector is financial professional services. So this ranges from sort of contact center service centers, shared service operations, through to big accounting practices, legal services. There's a whole array of these companies. I think there's about 130,000 people in our area who actually work in these sectors. And a lot of the inquiries we get are from big financial services companies, big business services companies who are looking to North Shore to move out of the southeast of England, where it's very overheating in terms of talent attraction and also costs, and move up to the northeast. We've got some huge business parks. We've got fantastic city centres with some brilliant office accommodation there to accommodate them. So we get a lot of inquiries from there, and it's a really, really important sector for us. The fourth sector is life sciences. In the northeast, we've got particularly strong sector based around pharmaceutical manufacturing, but also with some bioscience, biotechnology companies and companies interested in aging. Newcastle is a sort of a centre of Europe in terms of the number of scientists working on aging and aging adaptations and things like that. So it's something that we're really looking to focus more effort on. So life sciences is really important. And then the fifth final sector is something that I do quite a lot of work on, which is energy. So Traditionally, the Northeast, because of where it's located on the eastern seaboard near the North Sea, has been very strong in terms of manufacturing for oil and gas, doing the big manufactured topsides, things like that. But it's probably the centre of excellence in the world for subsea engineering, the design and manufacture of these remotely operated vehicles and deep sea trenches and things like that for laying and burying telecommunications cables or oil pipelines or electric cables for offshore wind arrays, things like that. And offshore wind is something that's really, really growing. I mean, it's part of the green revolution in the UK, in the Northeast. There are huge wind farms. The biggest one is being developed at the moment at Dogger Bank, over 4 gigabytes of electricity, which will help power about 5 million homes in the UK. And that's a lot of that technology is being implemented, built and delivered from the northeast of England. So it's really, really exciting times for that. So those are sort of the 5 key sectors which we tend to work through. And all of this is on our website. People are interested, they can have a look at that and look at these sectors in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, there's certainly other kind of sectors that are out there and specialisms that we have, whether it be for plant-based products in Northumberland or space and satellite apps down in Durham. There's a wide kind of breadth of opportunities, I guess, for businesses to connect into in the region, isn't there? And whilst we all support with that soft landing and offer, like you say, a wide package of support, it's really also the support organisations and networks that are down on the ground that are kind of the ones who will help facilitate with connections, collaborations, work on pitch documents and competitions. Can you talk a little bit more, maybe specifically around, especially the digital ones, because we've identified that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say here is to stress again that, you know, these organisations and these networks and this sort of ecosystem in the Northeast is open and really there to help people who are looking to set up and expand, scale up their business. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of these networks in all these different sectors since I've been up here. I mean, I can sort of turn the tables a little bit on you here and probably say it'd probably be useful, because I know your background's very much the sort of digital technology sector. So it might be a good opportunity for you just to tell people a little bit about some of the ecosystems surrounding digital technology and the bodies that are in place there to help digital businesses set up and expand.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I think that's been a real strength of the region. I think when you look at other areas, there aren't half as many kind of specialised cluster groups or networks. So, for instance, you've got Dynamo, who have specific looking at fintech and cybersecurity, professional services, digital entertainment. They're really there to help push potentially projects or looking at how we can really make the most of these opportunities. And then Digital Union, again, is very specifically looking at SMEs and creative digital. Help with marketing, with promotion, bringing people together, whether it be formal drinks and networking or a bit more cross collaboration on projects. Vertical Labs, which again is focused more on immersive technology and has really been a driving force towards setting things up like Proto, which I know you alluded to, and previously my background before I moved across. And you know, Proto is a real asset for the region, being that kind of first dedicated centre to immersive technology in Europe, and specialist R&D equipment that businesses can come and access, create digital content. It's brilliant. And then, of course, Digital Catapult with their immersive lab again. So being able to have and connect into those types of networks, it's a real asset for our region, I think, because we all know each other. It's a very friendly area, part of the world. Everyone's keen to kind of make those contacts and connections, aren't they, and see where new opportunities can be found. I think that's something that we probably don't shout about as much as we could, should even. But it's great, you know, when we have events like Newcastle Startup Week or week-long conferences in the area where this is a great chance for us to kind of say, do you know what's going on here? You should check us out and find more out, I guess. So, I mean, talked about the kind of investment.
I think something just to add there is that you know, I do show quite a lot of businesses around the Northeast, and what I always try and do is have a sort of a session at lunchtime over a snack or a meal, where I'll invite people from some of these sectors. So if it's a digital company, I might invite somebody from the Catapult, or from Dynamo to come and talk about the wider sector. Because I'm a generalist, I'm not a digital tech specialist. So if I'm dealing with a digital tech business, it's good to get some specialists there who know the scene in a lot more depth than me. And the one thing that the businesses that I'm showing around always say is they're always blown away by how interconnected and collaborative the ecosystems up here. They said that just they don't get the same feeling out in other areas that they've seen. They were always really, really impressed about how these companies and individuals want to support their business and want to help them develop in the region, which is a really great thing to say from the Northeast. Is that we've got that supportive network there.
Definitely.
Sorry, I interrupted you before.
No, that's good. Yeah, add in. But we see this more as a conversation than a Q&A.
Yeah.
So successes, I think it's always important to kind of talk about who's done it well here, and that could be from big global corporates, but also even just small businesses that have really found their foot in the region and have kind of been able to scale up. Can you kind of tell us about any really exciting projects and companies that have moved here over the years?
Yeah, okay. I mean, over the years, I mean, look, I should say actually at the outset that each year in the Northeast, in terms of inward investment, we tend to attract up to 100 new inward investors, and some of those will be foreign investors who are reinvesting in the region, and some will be completely new investors. But on average, we probably create between 2,000 and 5,000 jobs each year, depending on whether it's a good year or a leaner year. So there's been loads of successes. I mean, I'll talk about a couple. Well, one in particular we've had very recently was a company called Verisure, who it was a big service centre for a company that monitors alarms, and it was a typical story. They were looking at a number of different cities in the UK where they could locate. They had a long list of about 16, went down to the short list. In the end, it was between us and Leeds Bradford. Luckily, they decided to come to the Northeast. And this was after a number of different visits, which we'd organised for them. And they're going to create in the next 10 years probably 1,000 jobs. So it's a really big investment and a really good story. And the nice thing about that is one of the reasons that they ended up coming to the Northeast is that they were bowled over by the welcome they got here, how friendly everybody was. That we introduced them to quite a few employment agencies and things like that, and they were all really enthusiastic. They could really tell that we wanted their business up in the Northeast. And indeed, we went down, a colleague of mine went down to London and did a presentation to their staff, because in terms of business continuity, they wanted to get as many staff to relocate to the Northeast. And they didn't think that many people would, because their first base is down in London. But we showed about 35 people around, and the majority of people came up, wanted to relocate up here. They'd never been to the Northeast. They just thought it was a fantastic place to come and raise a family and further their career. And in fact, some of them were saying they didn't actually want to get on the train back down to London. They wanted to stay up there, so which is great.
Yeah,
so that's sort of big services. A good example of a sort of a software company, say Segeza, who are headquartered in Chicago. They set up in the Sunderland Software Centre a few years ago, and every year they're increasing their headcount there. They find that they can get the right quality talent here, that talent stays, so it it's not much attrition like you get elsewhere. So they've been bowled over by the support they've received in the Northeast and by Sunderland City Council. And so those are sort of some big inquiries. We get involved with quite a few small inquiries as well. I mean, there's a couple of ones, I won't mention the names, but we're just about to land at the moment. There was an Irish immersive tech company who came over with a delegation of Irish immersive companies, probably, I can't remember, towards the end of last year. And one of them is going to set up, I think, in Proto or around in Gateshead Quay somewhere. And again, they could see the benefit. They saw the opportunity, the market opportunity up here. They saw the cluster of immersive companies and some of the assets at Proto, and they thought this was the right place to enter the UK market. And another one was, again, another software company. This was a software company who's looking to sign a lease at the Helix in Newcastle. And again, part of that was they could see themselves and growing their business in that location in the Helix, which is an amazing place. So it's big inquiries and small inquiries, but we can help them all. And there's so many sort of good stories where people have come up and thrived and reinvested and grown here, which is really good. It makes my job worthwhile. And then the other day, I just had a phone call from a company. We don't really deal with business starts as such, but there was a company who had seen what he thought was a niche responding to the COVID crisis, and had been in discussions about buying some machinery to do a particular product. And so he spoke to me because he came through the website, and I was able to signpost him to other agencies in the Northeast who can actually help business startups. I told him where he could potentially get some finance, some loan finance, potentially some grant finance. And so he went away, and hopefully he'll set up that business in the Northeast. So it's not all about inward investment, although that's specifically what we're about. Clearly, Startup Week is about business starts, and there's lots and lots of support out there for people looking to.
And in terms of property options, I guess, and we were talking about this earlier, it's going to be a strange one, I guess, in light of COVID, about will people continue to hot desk as they did before? Will they be looking at the same size floor plates for their offices, or will they understandably need to take into account social distancing and measures, ensuring that the safety of staff is paramount, and therefore could be looking at larger floor plates or alternatives? And clearly we've mentioned the Northeast is more cost effective, and there has been a number of shoring, but can you talk a little bit more about how you think that might change the trend in the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing to say is that in the Northeast we have got a fantastic array of property options, from small manufacturing units to big manufacturing units to small shared workspaces, hot desking, through to big floor plates for big corporates wanting to, lease 100,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So there's a wide range of accommodation. I think for startups and scale-ups, a lot of them are looking for easy in, easy out type facilities where they sign a short-term license and they can give a month's notice to get in and out. Gives them more flexibility.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's exactly right what you're saying. With COVID, I've done had a lot of discussions with different businesses from different sectors, and a lot of them are saying that the one thing that's really going to change in the future is, firstly, or a couple of things. Firstly, they're not going to do as many meetings. They're not going to be traveling to meetings as much as they would before. They'd be doing more of this sort of Zoom, Teams type stuff.
Yeah.
But secondly, it will impact on their requirement for office accommodation. Firstly, it'll probably decrease their requirement, because if, for example, everybody's allowed to work from home one day a week, that's 20% less requirement for office accommodation. On big corporate, that's a big cost saving. But in terms of sort of the lease options, I think there will be a move to shorter length of leases, because people won't want to commit to a long-term 5-10 year lease. So you could see products come in for 2-3 years leases, to make it much more flexible, to give people, so they're fleet of foot and they can respond in the future to the way their business is developing. So I think that's something that may well come in. But again, the message that if a business is starting or scaling up in the Northeast, there are loads of property options in the city centres, on edge of town business parks, in rural industrial estates. And if people want to find out about them, come through to us, and we can signpost them, we can tell them where these things are and put them in touch with the right sort of people.
Yeah, and like you mentioned there, if people want to get in touch with us, how can they do that? So our website, obviously, but what's the best way? Is we're on Twitter or on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, they could have a look at our website in the first instance, which is www.investnortheastengland.co.uk.
Well done.
This is a bit of a mouthful. Alternatively, they can just contact me on LinkedIn. I'm Guy Currey, Currey. There's only one of me in the world that I can see, so you can get through. You won't get loads of different options. Guy Currey, Invest Northeast England. So contact me through LinkedIn, and we can start a dialogue there.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the easiest way to do it, and that links into the wider array of services. You can get on the website. It's really worth going on to see what we can do in detail. There's case studies, there's loads of downloadable information there on different sectors, there's videos and everything like that. It's a really good resource.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Well, like I say, I think it's been a good little chat that we've had here. I think we've hopefully raised the awareness of what's going on in this region, and people get in touch with us as and when the time's right. But as you mentioned, it's a case of we're very much open for business and here to support companies however best. Any final words that you wanted to give before we sign off?
Well, I think we shouldn't lose sight that, I mean, yeah, we're in COVID. It is a crisis. It is putting a dampener on a lot of businesses and the business aspirations, particularly in sort of manufacturing sectors and leisure and hospitality. It's been really, really badly affected. There are opportunities through, particularly in a lot of food manufacturing and in digital technology. But, you know, even the past couple of weeks, there's been some really, really good successes. I mean, I retweeted something the other day and put it on LinkedIn about Equinor and SSE, who are the Dogger Bank partnership, have announced that they're setting up their operations and maintenance hub at the Port of Tyne. So this is to help facilitate the development of the Dogger Bank offshore wind farm, which is a fantastic news. I mean, it's 200 jobs. These will be 25, 30-year jobs operating that wind farm, and that's only the first phase, and there's more phases. So there's these great big things. There was an announcement, it was a couple of months ago now, about BBC setting up a tech hub in Newcastle. Again, BBC have seen the benefits of being up in the northeast and in Newcastle, access to the talent and what have you. So they're going to set up a tech hub. Yeah. And Quantum DX, which is a really interesting company. Again, it's developing sort of molecular biological testing for COVID, and so they're seeing obviously it's a growth at the moment in terms of their activities. So there are some good news stories there. Sort of, yes, it is a difficult time for all businesses, but we will come out of this, and you know, the northeast will come out fighting, and it's still a fantastic place to invest.
Definitely. Brilliant. Oh, well, great. Thank you very much. Nice little Q&A. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. But yeah, anyone can get in touch with us, I guess, for any further information. And hopefully we'll speak to people soon. Thanks very much, Guy.
Thanks, Rachel. Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay.